James noticed something peculiar as he walked past an old and mysterious antique shop, a strange and captivating antique wall clock. The clock was adorned with gold-plated details and intricate craftsmanship. However, its most striking feature was the absence of any clock hands or numbers. It was covered in peculiar symbols and signs. Intrigued, James decided to enter the shop and take a closer look at the clock. The shop's owner, an elderly man named Mr. Whitlock, provided James with some information about the clock. The clock had been created by a renowned watchmaker nearly a century ago, but it had been lost after the watchmaker's death and had eventually been found in Mr. Whitlock's shop. He confessed that he had no knowledge of the meaning behind the symbols and marks on the clock, but was eager to part with it. James was captivated by the clock and eventually decided to purchase it. When he brought the clock home, he became engrossed with it, spending hours trying to unravel the mysteries of the symbols and marks. Day by day, his obsession with the clock grew, and he began to neglect his other responsibility. One fateful night, the clock seemed to call out to him in an almost hypnotic manner. James stood before the clock, studying the symbols and marks. He took a deep breath, and suddenly, the symbols came to life. The clock created an aura around him, making him feel as though time itself had submitted to his will. James started decoding the symbols, understanding that they were a temporal code. However, cracking the code was no simple task. He toiled for hours on end, with the complexity of the code pushing him to the brink of madness, but he never gave up. With time, James managed to decipher the clock's secret. The symbols contained information about the dates and locations of historical events. The clock's design and symbols hinted at the possibility of time travel, but understanding how to utilize such a power required more information. James became proficient in using the clock. Traveling to different time periods, he observed events in the past and future, unraveled historical mysteries. However, time travel was a perilous endeavor, and a single mistake could alter his destiny. The clock became the centerpiece of James's life, but it also became his curse. Constantly shifting between past and future eroded his well-being until he eventually vanished. For others who understood the power of the clock, James's story served as a warning. Some secrets, when unraveled, come at a great cost. On a dark, stormy night, an eerie silence enveloped the village. The townsfolk had taken shelter in their homes, listening hesitantly to the rain pounding on their rooftops and the wind howling. However, this village was not like any ordinary village. It was a place where, in the nearby forest, a grove of children had vanished during a night filled with ghosts. The villagers acted as though this night had been forgotten, but the long-forgotten secret of the village still lingered. The village's sage, who went by the name Mrs. Hawthorne, knew the reason behind the events from years ago, but she never shared the story with anyone. Her home was situated on the outskirts of the village, right at the edge of the dark forest where countless legends spoke of the ghosts of the lost children haunting. Mrs. Hawthorne wished for the story to be forgotten, but the townsfolk continued to search for the ghostly children, driven by fear and curiosity. On this stormy night, a group of courageous young people set out from Mrs. Hawthorne's house. They were determined to chase the ghosts within the forest. Mrs. Hawthorne warned them about the dangers of the forest, but they proceeded, undeterred. When they reached the deep woods, the rain continued to pour heavily, and the sky illuminated brightly with flashes of lightning. The young adventurers pushed deeper into the forest, initially noticing the eerie silence. However, soon they heard the distant cries and sobbing of children. The children's wails and tears only spurred them to move faster. Yet, as they ventured further, they too became entangled within the labyrinthine forest. Suddenly, pale faces appeared among the trees, signifying that these were the souls of the ghostly children. These children had once been part of the village, and now they wandered as captives of the forest. The young adventurers tried to escape the grip of these ghosts, but with each step, the forest seemed to grow and engulf them. In an instant, the young adventurers were lost within the depths of the forest. Mrs. Hawthorne decided to search for the missing young people. Herself, she ventured into the forest and encountered the ghostly children. Although she wanted to free their spirits, the ghosts refused to let her go. However, Mrs. Hawthorne realized that the only way to free their souls was to tell their story. She recounted the village's secret to the ghostly children. She ventured into the forest and encountered the ghostly children. Although she wanted to free their spirits, the ghosts refused to let her go. However, Mrs. Hawthorne realized that the only way to free their souls was to tell their story. She recounted the village's secret to the ghostly children. Years ago, the villagers had operated a hidden shrine in the forest, and the rituals they performed had led to the creation of these ghostly children. The ghostly children were eager to share the truth with the world and yearned to return. Mrs. Hawthorne's words caused the ghostly children to appear near the village's outskirts, leaving the village's residents in shock. However, the ghost's anger and sorrow dissipated. The people were no longer fearful because they had discovered the truth. The ghosts were now free. Thanks to Mrs. Hawthorne's teachings, the townsfolk had unraveled the forest's dark secrets and delivered justice to the ghostly children. After this terrifying night, the village held no more secrets, and it became a documented chapter in history. It was a moonless night, and the ancient house stood like a spectral sentinel, casting eerie shadows in the pale glow of the stars. The mansion, known to locals as the Whispering Manor, held a dark reputation. Stories of strange occurrences and unexplained disappearances surrounded it, but none could resist the pull of the mansion's ominous charm. One fog-laden evening, a group of friends, drawn by a mixture of curiosity and bravado, decided to explore the mansion. Among them was Emily, a skeptical but adventurous young woman who always dared to challenge the supernatural. The moment they stepped through the creaking double doors, an unsettling chill shrouded them, and the air was thick with an oppressive silence. The friends ventured deeper into the mansion, their flashlights revealing faded portraits of somber figures, their eyes seemingly following the intruders. The walls bore cryptic symbols, the meaning of which was lost to time. Each room held an unsettling secret, but it was the basement that beckoned them with its whispers. As they descended into the dark abyss, the walls seemed to close in, and the whispers grew louder. It was as though the very foundations of the house were trying to communicate. One by one, the friends began to see apparitions, ethereal figures from a bygone era. But Emily, the skeptic, dismissed these visions as products of their collective imagination. In the heart of the basement, they discovered a locked door that emanated an ominous aura. Despite the unnerving atmosphere, Emily's curiosity got the better of her. She stepped forward, her hand trembling as she inserted the rusty key she had found earlier. The door creaked open, revealing a hidden chamber, dimly lit by flickering candles. Within this unholy chamber lay an ancient, dusty tome bound in human skin, its pages filled with a horrifying tale of dark rituals and vengeful spirits. Emily, almost entranced, began to read the sinister incantations written in the book. A malevolent force was unleashed, and the very walls of the mansion seemed to breathe with a sinister energy. One by one, her friends were ensnared by the malevolent spirits, their souls consumed by an insatiable hunger. Terrified and desperate, Emily tried to undo her incantation, but it was too late. She was now in the clutches of the very horrors she had once doubted. The mansion came alive, each room pulsating with sinister energy, as if the very house itself had taken offense to their intrusion. Her friends' tormented spirits whispered a chilling refrain as they pursued Emily, condemning her to an eternity of horror and torment. Years later, the once fearless mansion explorers became a cautionary tale, their fates forever entwined with the Whispering Manor. It still stands, a grim reminder of the price one pays when dabbling in the unknown. The legend of Emily and her friends lingers, A spine-tingling tale of horror that warns against the arrogance of those who dare to challenge the supernatural.